do shit like this, you have to know the law. Because you got to know your limits. You got to know what you can and can't do. You got to know, can somebody come after you for saying this or doing this? You have to know the law. So since I was like 17 or 18, I've always made sure to cover my bases, look at all the legal loopholes, the legal ins and outs. Like, for instance, who was it that brought it up? It was a troll. They're like, Isaac, how about you explain that you filed for bankruptcy? And here's the thing. I did. What was it, 3.5 years ago, our landlord at the time, Julie, she pretty much hit us up, and she was like, hey, I'm not going to be accepting rent from you guys. My daughter is homeless. She's been sleeping on the floor. You know, she has a baby. We want to put her in that house. And my response to her was like, go fuck yourself. I have a lease. Like, what the fuck? What, kick us out and move your daughter in? And I told her, I was like, no, we have a lease. If you want that to be done, then you have to do it the right way. Don't renew our lease. And she was like, no, I need you out like now. And I was like, you can't do that. She goes, well, I don't have to accept your rent. I'm like, you kind of do. You do have to accept our rent.
You have to have a valid reason to file a landlord-tenant complaint as well.
Yeah. And she actually filed the actual eviction notice. We went to the magistrate, and the magistrate literally told her, you have to accept his money. He goes, you can't just evict him because you want him out, you want your daughter in. You have to accept his money. So right there in court, she goes, okay, fine, I'll accept his money. Well, by this point in time, it had already drug on to, it was like a month out from us renewing our lease, right? And I said to Nicole, I'm like, she ain't renewing. And when she does give us the paperwork, which she did, you know, within like a couple of days after that, I was like, once she gives us the paperwork that says she's not renewing the lease, what, are we supposed to give her thousands of dollars and then turn around and give someone else thousands of dollars? I was like, fuck her. She put us in this position, fuck her, I ain't paying her a dime. And I told her that.
Everything Isaac's saying is true because I know those laws because I had a rental for like 8 years. So I had to know them.
Yeah. And I straight up was like, you know what? I'm not paying her a dime. You know, I was like, we're leaving anyway. Fuck her. So I told her that. She was like, all right, Isaac, I'm ready to accept your money. And I was like, too late. You're not getting it. So at that point, she goes back to the magistrate and she files for possession. So at that point in time, obviously the magistrate would rule in her favor because now I am saying I'm not going to pay you that money. So he ruled in her favor. But what she didn't know is I knew that there was a loophole. So I was talking to Nicole. I'm like, listen, we need to buy ourselves like another 2-3 months so we can find a decent place and not rush this. And Nicole's like, well, how are we going to do that? How are we going to buy extra time? If she's not renewing the lease and she already filed for possession because you're not paying her, either way, we're going to have to be out within like the next 30 days. And I said, no.
I thought it was 90 days.
No.
Oh, no. Really?
They first give you, okay, so if you go to court, like right now, for instance, in 6 days, well, even though, that's getting thrown out, but let's just play devil's advocate here. In 6 days, when I go to court with this landlord, the judge at that point, if it was a case of me not paying rent, like, oh, I'm just not paying rent, the judge would say, you have 10 days from this date to make payment in full. After those 10 days, then the landlord has to go back to the magistrate and then file again and pay more money to file for possession. At that point in time, it's up to the discretion of the judge to give you anywhere between 10 to 30 days to be out. And on that 11th day or that 31st day, that's when the constable comes and pretty much locks up your shit.
Well, I believe back in the 90s, if it was winter time and you had a child, that they extended that to like 3 months or something like that.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I don't know what the laws are now, but
so what wound up happening was with this landlord Julie. I was like, yeah, well, you're not getting a dime, blah blah blah. She went, she filed for possession. Me and Nicole talked. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna need like a little bit more time here. And Nicole's like, how are you gonna do that? And I said, well, I have a legal loophole. She goes, well, what's the legal loophole? I said, it's easy. I file for bankruptcy, and then I get what's called a stay order. I then serve her with that stay order, and I then serve the magistrate with that stay order. It's a federal stay order. What that stay order means is as long as my bankruptcy case is active, I'm untouchable.
Any monies owed to you has to get put on the bankruptcy by the people that you owe money to, and then it has to go into, they will at that point write it off until it's all locked up until it goes to court. And I know this because
That
I declared bankruptcy in 2001.
that and you can't be evicted. You're untouchable until your bankruptcy case is closed. So even after the lease was up and she chose not to renew, she couldn't evict us. So I did that, used that legal loophole, bought ourselves some time. We actually wound up finding a place quick anyway that we liked. So we didn't even need that, that time. And at that point in time, what you do with the legal paperwork is you don't follow through. So what happens is after you file for bankruptcy initially, they request documents from you. Like, they want your pay stubs, your taxes, you know what I mean? Like, they want you to sign this document, and they want birth certificates, household information.
Everything.
Yeah. Once they start requesting that, then you ignore them. And then what happens is once you ignore them, after about, I think 90 to 120 days, then they close out your bankruptcy case as a voluntarily dismissed, which means you, as a person, dismissed your own bankruptcy case.
That's fucking slick, dude. Oh my god.
The best part about that? She was such a bitch to us. Even after we moved, I didn't even dismiss it myself. I let it run its course. So she couldn't even put a new tenant in until like 6 months later. So the house actually sat for 6 months and she couldn't put nobody in it. Even though I had moved, I still had legal claim to that address under the bankruptcy stay order. And she couldn't touch it. She couldn't even go in and make repairs. She couldn't put anybody else in it. And it sat for 6 months. I just did that just to be an asshole because she was a bitch. So that was the loophole that was used with that. So the trolls, when they were like, "Oh, you filed for bankruptcy," I'm like, "Yeah, no shit." No shit. It was a fucking loophole. But if they would actually look at the documents, it literally says voluntarily dismissed, and it's already removed off my credit report. Like, it's already gone. Like it never happened.
Little corpse. That's Isaac talking. Then we have Jackson, Whitney, and myself, Larry H.
I'm actually gonna jump down because I gotta be up in 3 hours for school. So
Larry's probably gonna play Uno.
No, it's too late for me.
So I will talk at you all later.
All right. Good night, Whitney.
Good night.
Now, unfortunately, mine was due to medical bills and shit. So, but that's long since discharged. You know what I mean? I'm on my way to building good credit.
Honestly, it goes right back to what we were saying about trolls not reading. Like, if they would have actually read the bankruptcy document, if they would have actually read it, they would have seen that it was initiated, and then I just went ghost. And then they wrote it as a voluntarily dismissed.
But they don't do their follow-up reading, obviously.
Yeah, they never do. They never do. But to anybody that's ever in a situation, there's your loophole. I will say, if you want to have somebody do it for you, it costs like $250. That's what I actually wound up doing.
Oh, I paid $800.
I paid $250 to a guy, and what his job was to gather all of the paperwork and fill it out for me. All I had to do at that point was just print off the PDFs and take them in person to file them. That's all I had to do. So pretty much I paid him $250 to fill out everything correctly, legally. He filled it all out, sent it to me in the email. I printed it out, signed it, took it to the fucking bankruptcy court, whatever, and filed it.
Yeah, I went through a bankruptcy lawyer. Best thing I ever did.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I was being sued by DirecTV for $250,000.
You want to know something crazy? And I don't know if you remember this. This happened last year. I know probably Starshine and the girls remember.
Well, but don't get me wrong, guys. That was what initiated it. I still had a shitload of bills that I ended up getting out of because of the DirecTV thing. Because I didn't know what else to do. I was being sued. So.
Well, the wait, hold on. What's this? Wait, hold on. I'm still getting fucking blown up. Hold on, I'm going through. What was it sent to me? Oh, okay. So last year, because I have the Credit Karma app on my phone. Like, I'm always checking my credit and stuff. And I got a notification, and it popped up, and it said, your student loans have been paid off. Congratulations. Now, we're talking like $30,000 in student loans.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? You know, like, what the fuck? And Nicole got the same thing, like a couple days later.
Really?
I hit up Mike, and I'm like, dude, did you do something for me? I was like, did you pay off my student loans? And Mike's like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I just got this notification, and my balance is wiped out. It says that they were paid in full. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I didn't do shit. And I was like, well, then who fucking did? So I literally called Department of Education, and I'm like, hey, I'm calling about my student loans. It says that it was paid off. And they go, oh, yeah, paid off in full. You're good. And I'm like, by who? And the person's like, you. I was like, no. I didn't do this shit. My wife didn't do this shit. So to this day, I don't know who did it or how it happened, but all of our student loans were paid off. $30,000 for me, and I think it was like $28,000 for Nicole. They were all paid off, and I still don't know what the fuck happened or how it happened. I have no fucking idea. It was that was the craziest thing like that ever happened. I even posted on Twitter. I posted a screenshot of the fucking Credit Karma thing, and I was like, just woke up to all my student loans being paid off. What the fuck? Like, I still know what fucking happened. I don't know.
Oh, these guys are like, 250,000 at DirecTV, man. That's a lot of porn. No, guys, that's not what happened. I'll explain what happened. And this little corpse, I don't give a fuck what. This is my third house that I've bought, and this one is fully paid off. I sold the other ones, made a shitload of money. So, you don't. This is when bankruptcy, you didn't have to sell your house, right?
Did you like work for like DirecTV or some shit and like steal from the company?
No, dude. I knew a friend that, he's really good with computers, okay? And he had DirecTV, I had DirecTV, and he's like, hey, there's this little thing that you can plug into your computer and put the card in, right? And I bought it for him, but I used a credit card. And I bought it from Canada, right? Well, I guess the company got busted, and they went through their records and found me, and originally wanted, what was it, $2,500? And I was like, no, go fuck yourself. And then the next week they called me and said they wanted $5,000. I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. They kept calling me at work. Right? I'm like, I just kept going, no. I get sent this fucking packet, this fucking thick, with like lawsuit shit, $250,000. I'm like, oh, fuck. They're serious, right? And I did my research. I looked it up, and what the law that they said that I broke, right? They sent me a paragraph out of the Congress. I think it was a site you can go to. I forget what it's called, where you can find out all the laws, right? So they sent me this law they said I broke, and I went and looked it up. And here they left half the paragraph out. All right. So I was like, yeah, I think this is a bully letter. But I'd already gone to a bankruptcy lawyer, and they were like, it could be a bully letter, but they might have grounds. And she goes, "Do you have it?" And I handed it to her, and she's like, "All right, forget about it." I was like, "Ah, sweet."
You know what? Here's a story that I never told. Me and Mike actually got caught up in some shit. This was years ago. Like, how old was I when this happened? Me and Nicole were